Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It has been quite some time since I made a video, and that is just because life got really busy, and I'm a full-time photographer, and I've kind of gone into a busier season. It always gets busy. I'm in Arizona, and it always gets busy before summer when it gets really hot. So we're coming up on that here in a couple of months. Anyways, I am working on my virtual crop. Creative Memories does this virtual crop, and while I don't do much with Creative Memories, I do like to do their virtual crop because it comes out with these really fun sketches. So I am participating in this. It is February's crop. I finished almost all of January. I haven't got to March yet, and now we're in April, so I'm a little bit behind. But I had started this February crop in February and then wasn't able to finish it. So anyways, the one that I'm working on is going to be this one right here. And I'm working on these beach pictures that from a camping trip that we took last March, so almost a year ago. And I've played with these pictures before. I've started putting them on layouts and just never found anything I liked. And then I found this layout and this paper. So I'm using White Willow cardstock from Stampin' Up as my base. So let me bring both of those in. And then I am using this paper next. Let me take this off for a minute. This paper next, and I'm going to cut it down. I'm only going to use one sheet of it. But as I lay it out just to see how it's all going to look, I'm just using both sides of it. This is a Creative Memories paper. It is called Sun Soaked. And here's the different things it came with. Like I said, I don't do much with Creative Memories, but every now and then I get on and see what they have. So when I saw this paper, it just kind of screamed beach to me. So that's what I'm using. So the sketch calls for paper on each side and then a different paper on this side. And I'm just going to be using some tan cardstock to kind of represent sand. And that will go on both sides of this, like so. Oh, I have it switched. Sorry, it's going to go like this. Like that. And then the sketch also called for these circles right here is a border of some kind. And I was trying to tie in a little bit more ocean theme. So I actually took an old pair of Fiskars scissors that I have that does this wave and trimmed just a straight edge of paper, and I'm going to tuck it like this just to bring in a little bit more kind of beachy theme. So I'm going to do that on each side like so. All right, and then the sketch calls for these photos here are 6 by 3.5, and this is a 3.5 by 5.5. And the one thing that I've never followed with with Creative Memories is their photo sizes. They seem to always do kind of this weird 3.5 by 6, and I'm not a fan. So I'm not doing that. I am doing, there's going to be one photo here, and the photo up here. So what I did instead of 6 by 3.5 is I just did a 4 by 6, and I cut it down. My mat is going to be a 4 by 6 cut down by 1/8 of an inch on each side, and then I cut my photo down by another 1/8 of an inch on each side more, so that the border is 1/4 of an inch. That is going to go there. And then this one, instead of this middle one being another 4 by 6, I'm actually going to do these as 3 by 4s. And again, they've been cut down. I will get the exact measurements for you here in just a minute. So those two are going to go like that. And then I have two more that are going to go down here in the corner. So this is kind of my way of getting more photos on a page. And then on this side, I'm going to have this one. Now this one I did print as a 4x6 with the white border on it already, because I could. And you can see in the sketch they have 2 over here. So that's going to go over here, like so. And then I have another one. This one I did not print on the mat. There was a reason why, and now I can't remember why, but I'm also missing a mat. So I'm going to take this one for now. So that's going to go over here, like this. And then I have this one I printed as a square. So this side called for 2 vertical portrait orientation photos, 4 by 5.5. And again, I didn't want to do that 5.5 by 4. That's a weird aspect ratio for me, especially being a photographer. I just really like to stick with things being even, and that is not, that doesn't fall into anything that I like. So instead of doing 2 4x6s, I did 1 square. Isn't she so cute? That's my little Emma. And she just, this is their first time really playing on the beach, and they loved it. So I'm going to put that one down here. And then this one I did print with the border already on it. This is my son Max, and he spent most of his time fishing. He did catch some fish, and it was fun. But that one's going to go here. So I have that. So I actually don't have a photo over here. I believe what I plan to do over here is my journaling. Let me show you some of the things that I want to embellish this layout with. I actually have a whole lot of things that I've been kind of collecting. I purchased some things knowing that I was a few more times since this trip. So I knew I had beach stuff coming up. So probably a year or so ago, I bought this Seaside Wishes hybrid embossing folder, and it came, there's the embossing folder, and then there's stamps and dies that come with it. So these are the dies and these are the stamps. So we spent a whole lot of time looking for sand dollars, and I have a picture here. These are mostly the seashells that we found, but we did find a lot of sand dollars, and a lot of them that we found are actually full, complete sand dollars, which is why I bought this. And with this set, you can stamp and die cut and emboss all at the same time. And so I bought this set specifically for these pictures, and I've been dying to use it. But like I said, I started this layout, but never really loved it, and now I love this. So I'm going to be using this. I also got this Soft Waves embossing folder, and there is a way I'm going to kind of mess around with it to make a 12 by 12 piece of, I'm sorry, not 12 by 12, a 12 by 6 piece. This is actually 12 by 5. Emboss the whole thing. And I thought that that would be really cool if I could emboss this tan paper with these waves on it. So I brought that in as an option. That's also from Stampin' Up. With one of my orders, I also got this. This was a freebie if you spent a certain amount of money, that they ran this promotion back in January. And this Perfect Day in the Sun, I think, is a great title for this. So that, and there's also the little sunshine over here. So I brought that in. They also had this one. This was also another freebie if you spent a certain amount of money. This is the Friendly Seagulls, and what I'm really looking for here is this little seashells and the rocks. If I don't emboss this, I was thinking I would just stamp some seashells around it, so I brought that in as a possibility. This is the Gone Fishing dies and stamp set, and this is more for my son. I thought I'd put some fish around here. He didn't catch big fish, he just caught little fish, and of course I can't remember what they're called at the moment, but I brought this in just in case I wanted to add some fish. So that's a possibility. I have a lot of different things that I might bring in. For starters, I'm going to go ahead and get my photos adhered down to the mats, trim my papers and get them adhered down to the base layer, and then we'll go from there. I started gluing all this down, and I realized that I want to try to emboss this tan piece of paper, and I wanted to show you how I'm going to attempt to do that. So I have this embossing folder. This is the Soft Waves 3D embossing folder. Stampin' Up is just getting ready to switch over to their new annual catalog, so I don't know if this is available anymore, but I will link it below in the video if it is. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my die cutting and embossing machine here, and I have my embossing folder and that is usually meant for obviously a smaller piece of paper, but I've left my paper at 12 inches long. Is that you line up the top with where the embossing starts and put that in your embossing folder, and I'm going to run this through, but I'm not going to run it through with my sandwich. You'll see that in a minute, all the way to the bottom. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to build my platform, my sandwich, using my platform base and then my embossing folder and then my adapter plate. Leave this end out so that the seam right here doesn't have a hard seam. So I'm going to put that here like this. I'm going to put my adapter plate like this. That way when I run this through, the very edge, can you see that edge sticking out, won't be really deeply embossed and will kind of merge up nicely when I flip this around and do the next one. So I just want to make sure that my paper is nice and even at the top and side of this embossing folder. So I'm going to make sure that I have that lined up perfectly, and I'll close that. Put that down very carefully. Then my adapter plate, making sure that I don't put it to the very end. And if this doesn't work, then I'll cut myself a new piece of paper. Oh, and the other thing I need to do is flip this around so that the handle is towards me. So we're going to learn and see how this works for the first time together. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this through. Okay, here we go. Perfect. And now let's open this up and see what we have. All right. Well, first of all, look how beautiful that is. I mean, come on. You can even flip it over. Like, that's gorgeous. I hope you can see that on camera. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to do the same thing on this edge. So I'm going to line that up like this. Now there is, you can see it already, there's going to be a gap in the middle, so I probably left a little bit too much room. But I do know that I'm going to have pictures kind of covering that seam, so if it doesn't work out quite right, then I'll cut another one and do it again, but I think that it's going to be okay. So same thing here. I'm going to put that in there like so, put my base on there, put this on there, and again, I'm not going to run this all the way to the edge because I don't want a harsh seam. I'd rather it be faint than, drastically cut off at the end. All right, let's roll this through and we'll see how it goes. And I have one more to do, so I'll probably learn for the next one. The next one will be even better. But let's open that up. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, I already stuck a little bit of adhesive on this one, so let me peel it off carefully. Okay, so you can see there that I didn't quite line them up because there's a gap in the middle, but I do know that when I bring in my photo, it should probably cover that up. And if it doesn't, I might just stamp some seashells or something on there. I'm going to make that work. The other thing is that I'm just now realizing is that this paper, my other side, is bigger than my embossing folder. So at this point, I will probably just cut a couple new pieces of paper and not do the embossing. So I will think that through and then I'll come back. After putting it down on this page, on this side, I actually really do like the texture that it brings in. And so I'm going to leave it. You can just barely see where it doesn't meet up there, but I'm going to put some other embellishments around there so you won't see that. And so what I've decided to do for the other half is I took my paper, it was 7 by 12, and I cut it in half. And I'm just going to mess around here. I'm going to do this on camera so that you can see. And I'm going to see what happens if I just kind of sandwich them together. So I'm going to make sure that I put this one on this half, and the next one will go on that half. So I'm making sure I'm looking at my little Stampin' Up logo here to make sure that it's facing, the right way, so I can help line these up. I'm going to go ahead and put this lined up at the top, just like I did the last one, and I'm going to run this through. So there's the first one, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So we've got that. Now I'm going to turn it around and make sure I do the same side right around the same place. So I'll put it just like this. I'll put that back up here. Put that on here again. My plate in here. And I'll make sure it's not all the way to the end. And then we're going to run this through. All right. Now, here's where it's going to get kind of tricky. I'll take that out, and you can kind of see. Oh, that one did leave a, you see the little harsher bit of line there. But it's okay because I know that I'm going to have pictures over top of it. That one actually kind of ripped the paper a little bit. So be careful when you're embossing. But again, I'm going to have pictures over this. So there's the first one. Now what I'm going to do is take the other piece of paper, open this back up, and I'm going to put it on the other side. So hopefully it matches up. It won't be seamless, but with a texture like this, I don't think that it has to be. I'm going to try it. And now, take that out. Beautiful. And I'm going to flip it around. And when I do flip this around, it doesn't mean that it's opposite. It's not lining up. I'd have to flip it, the paper over also to get it to line up exactly. But I don't want to do that because I don't want I want the embossed side to be face up on both sides. So I'm aware that it's not going to be perfect. I've said this in a lot of my videos. I don't need my scrapbooking to be perfect. And with embellishments and pictures over top of it and whatnot, it's not going to matter that it's not exact, and no one is going to come look at my page and be like, oh, your embossing folder didn't quite line up right. No one's going to ever see that, nor are they going to know. They're going to be like, oh, cool, how did you do that? And that's what's more important to me, is just the final look. So let's pull this up, put these all to the side and show you. So there's my final paper. Bring my papers back in. Take things off that go on the other side. I haven't adhered any of this down yet. So here's the paper that I cut. So it's going to go over here. And now what I'm hoping for is that I can line these up, one right here, and the other one would obviously go right next to it. And I can kind of turn it and mess with it and see. I think that looks better with the design. So that will go like this, and once I glue it down, you probably won't see a whole of that seam. But then my photos are going to come in on top of it. So that's going to go like this. And then these photos are going to come in like this. That one goes down here. Turn that up so you can see. That one's going to go here. This is going to go here. Obviously, these are just laid out, and that's going to go here. And then with embellishments and whatnot around it, I think it's going to look just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and continue gluing all of these down, and then I'll come back. Okay, let me bring these back in and show you what it looks like. I think that it's just fine. If you really inspect this closely, you can see some of the flaws in it. But I really like the texture over the flaws. So like if I pick this up, well, the pictures I didn't stick down because of I want to put embellishments on it. But if you really pick it up and look closely, you can see where the two don't meet up right there. That doesn't bother me. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to put some embellishments there anyways. And same with over here, it's right here. But what you really can't see on this right now is the seam that's going down the middle. I put it right up next to it. If I really look close, you can see it right there. But once these are on here like that, you just don't notice that. Okay, so I've brought in the Seaside Wishes embossing folder, stamps and dies. It's a hybrid set. Again, I'm not totally sure if this is still available, but they do usually have some hybrid folders in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, so you may come across these in the future, but I wanted to show it to you. So this is the embossing folder, and these are the dies. Let me peel off. So the die that I'm going to use today is this one. I'm going to carefully peel this off. It's kind of, I'm bending the back paper off and not pulling on the die because I don't want to bend it. So I'm just kind of holding on to it and then peeling off the back. So the way this works is inside of this folder, this will just set gosh, what does it sit into? I think it sits over here. And there we go. And it just kind of locks in there once you get it just right. There we go. And now it's just in. So when I could roll it through just like this, and what would happen is it would die cut these 3 sand dollars and emboss it at the same time. Let me get an extra piece of paper, and I'll go ahead and do that for you. So let me move my extra pieces out of the way. Set that on top of my little case there. And we will open back up my embossing machine. I'm using the Spellbinders embossing machine. Stampin' Up! Has an embossing machine as well. I will link that below. It works just the same. So I'm going to go ahead and put my paper inside of my embossing folder, and I'm going to close it. I'm going to do it the same because I believe this is considered a 3D embossing folder and a die cut. So I'm going to do it with the base, the folder, and then my adapter plate. And if for some reason it doesn't work, then we'll do it again. So let's run this through, and you should see how beautifully this embosses and die cuts at the same time. It's amazing. Okay, so that's gone through. Put that out of the way. And now I will show you what it did. So you could use this for other things. I probably won't, but look at this beautiful sand dollars. So it die cut all 3 of these at the same time and embossed them all. Oh, this is the embossed side. Look how pretty. Isn't it pretty? You can see that. So you could use these just as is. You could also then add some ink blending to the tops of them to add even more dimension. So let's do that. I'll show you how that works. For today's purposes, I'm just going to bring in a scrap piece of printer paper. I'm going to put these on top of it. I brought in some brown ink, and I'm just going to kind of show you. I'm just going to put a little bit of ink on here. Not even sure if brown is the right color, but we're going to go with it. And I'm just going to kind of very gently do some ink blending on the top. I don't want a lot, just a little bit. Give it some dimension. Okay. So there's one. Let's do this bigger one. I'm just putting enough ink on here to make sure that when I gently rub it over the top that the embossed, the raised part of this is picking up some ink. It looks like a sand dollar. So there's another one. And I'm going to do one more. Just like so. I'm not pushing real hard, just enough. Okay. And there's the third one. So you've got these 3 beautiful sand dollars. And you can do these in any color. I just chose what I had in my scraps and some brown ink to give you the general idea. But you can also stamp and then cut them out. Some of the sand dollars that we found were actually like a darker gray. So I'm going to cut out a lighter gray on my... With these folders, I'm going to turn this around the correct way. Close this up first. I cut that a little bit small, but I think it will be okay. So we're going to close that. And I'm going to go ahead and cut these out for you and do a little bit more inking just so you can see a different color. So I can show you now how it looks on the gray one. Isn't it just so pretty? So there's my gray. And I think once I get the ink on these, they'll be really pretty. So I'm going to bring the brown back in. Ink up my blending tool. Yeah, that's going to be better. And we'll start with a small one. And again, I'm just going to ink. I'm not doing too much. I'm not doing too heavy-handed. I just want to make sure I get some on each of it, and I don't want them to all be exactly the same, so I'm not going to put too much thought into this. So there you can see that one compared to that color. Again here, so we can kind of put this together, see what else we need. So here's the layout. Okay, and then now I can bring these in and just kind of lay them around and see where I think I might like them. I made a little mistake when I was cutting earlier and accidentally made a little slice it there, so I'll probably put that there and cut off the edges. And I think I'll probably cluster these. Well, I don't want the same size though, so let's just kind of lay these out. Let's put a big one over here like so, and then maybe we'll put a medium and a small one. I want to kind of do threes. I might end up doing a little bit more than three, just because I have them. Maybe one down here sticking out. We'll see, because I'm going to put my title over here, and I might draw another one since I have it up in this corner. Put one down here. I like this big one though, the coloring on it, so maybe we'll do this and put this one down in the corner. So something similar to that, and then maybe we'll put this here. We'll see. I'm not sure I like the two grays with each other. I think I like them just with twos, and I'll find a third. I like to not only have a triangle or things in three, I also like to have three things in my clusters. But we'll need to kind of see how this plays out, and I may even have to make a couple more with the tan color and see how that works. But for now, you can kind of see how that's coming together. Now what I'm going to do is move on to some of the fishing stuff. This camping trip, this is my husband. I'm not in any of these because I'm taking all the pictures, but we played in the sand. We did some tie-dyeing of shirts. My son fished mostly, and we hunted for seashells. So while these are like ocean and seashell related, I feel like my clusters will be okay adding in some fishing, and I even have a die cut of some buckets. So I'm going to go ahead and make these clusters kind of themed to everything we did and not just the sand dollars. So I'm going to start with some fishing dies. I'm going to use this Gone Fishing die set. I'll probably do some stamping, but for now I'm just going to cut this die right here is just some hooks. I found an additional set that I just ordered called Beach Day, again because I knew I had beach layouts, and this last time we went to the beach my daughter took a bunch of pictures on the lifeguard stand, so I really wanted this so I could put that on that page. But I found that I did not have a bucket, and I really wanted a bucket because we were building sandcastles, but this one has a stamp and a die sandcastle, so I used that set, and here are my little sandcastles. Aren't they so cute? So I did 3 of those, and you can't really tell, but I had this scrap piece of paper I've had forever. It's not cardstock, it's just a pattern piece of paper, but I used that. I stamped on that paper just to give it some kind of sand effects. So I did 3 of those. I also used that same set. Doesn't have a stamp, but the die set has this cute little seashell. So I cut out a handful of those so I can put them in up with my sand dollars. I cut out 3 of these lures, fishing lures, and I cut it out of silver metallic paper so it's shiny like a lure would be. And it has these pieces that go with it, these little silver tails. I probably won't use those, I'll probably just use this. And then I cut out a few of these little hooks. And I stamped and then die cut these little fishing lures to bring in some of the red from my son's swim trunks. So what I need to do now is just kind of start placing these around. I don't want all of my clusters to be exactly the same. So I'm just kind of want to start laying things out a little bit to see how it comes together. I know I'm going to want some seashells I don't know that if I want them in these clusters or separate from them. Not totally sure yet. But so I'm just kind of laying them out to see how it all kind of fits together. And then I'll start gluing some things down. Oh, that's kind of cute. And maybe this will just come down here. And I do kind of like how these are coming together. I don't know that I think I like this one down here just left kind of basic, and then maybe I'll add, well, I don't think I need that one. I'll put that over with my extras. I don't think I need, maybe up here instead of this one, I'll put 2 of the red ones. Yeah, I'm gonna put that as an extra. And I do want to use the little seashells. I think those are pretty cute. And they're small enough to where it's not really too bad if you have more than one. I might add a little bit of ink on those just to give them the same kind of dimension that the other ones have. And this little sand castle, I think 2 might be enough. So I'm going to go with this for right now, and see how that works. Okay, so I've skipped ahead and done quite a bit of this page off camera. So let me show you what I did. I ended up adding another little small cluster down here. So instead of having, I had these 3 and then I added this 4th. Now I've got one that kind of just draws your eye across the whole page. These 2, I didn't do as many things in them as I did with the other ones. But I'll bring that up a little bit closer so you can see. So you can see there's my silver lure, and the stamped, this set has everything in it that I cut. And then this one has 2 of those. Each cluster is definitely different. And the bottom one doesn't have as many. Same with over here. And I went ahead and added my journaling right here in this spot. And I stamped my title. So that was done with this documenting the day set. I stamped this What a Wonderful onto just a strip of scrap paper I had, and I dovetailed each end. Hard to see on this one just because it's white on white, and then the day is all one stamp. And what I did was stamped it all together, and I inked it with 3 different inks. So I used Lagoon, I used Glacier, and I used Journey. And I started with the lightest one first so that I didn't mess up my ink pads. And I just did the D, and then the next one I just kind of did the top part of it, and then the third one, the darkest color, I did the bottom. So as long as you start lightest to darkest, you won't contaminate your inks with different colors. And then I just fussy cut each of those letters apart so that I could have a small white border on it. I'm trying to show as much of this wavy paper as possible. The other thing I did with this is I have a lot of pictures from this trip, and I don't really intend to do another page. I've mentioned on my channel before that I scrapbook for each of my kids. I have a 4th older son who's not on this trip with us, but I scrapbook for each of them, and I do a family album. So this is the family page because it's got everybody on it. But I don't really have enough of each of them individually to really justify doing their own pages. So what I did was I pulled out some pocket pages. And I basically pulled out this one that has room for 4 3x4s, and then again on the back side. So you can put 8. And I did fill it with all pictures instead of any journaling because my journaling is already here. So, I've got some of my scenery pictures and the dogs, just all the different things, our seashells that we found. So that will go in here. And then I also pulled out this one that holds 6 4x3s, and then 6 on the backside. So this backside is dedicated to my son and his fishing, and this side is just some more random pictures, my mom and my kids. I have one more picture. I haven't decided which one I want to print to put in there. But and then I just backed them with different kinds. This one is backed with tan and white. This one is backed with a blue. I found a nice blue paper that goes well with this. So some of them are backed in the blue and some are in the tan and white. So that will go in here like this. And that will be it for this one. I don't think that, like I said, I don't think I need to do individual pages. I might down the road, but for now, this is enough for them to look through and see what the trip was like. So that is what that page is going to look like. I will link in the description anything that I used.
If you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows to show you more things like this. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I've linked to another video here that I think you might like to watch. Thanks for watching. Bye.